Board of Zoning Appeals, call to order. First, for the meeting of Monday, March 27th, 6:00 p.m. First on the agenda is approval of the minutes from March 13th, 2023.
So moved. Second.
Motion for approval by Mr. King, second by Mr. Mull. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 3-0. Next up, special requests and continuances.
Madam Chair, Russell Brown here on behalf of Racetrack. We have on your agenda a request for our variance of use and our variance of our dimensional variance. We would request those be continued to your first meeting in April. I did speak with Eric Prime, representing the remonstrator across the street, and he was aware we would be making this request.
Okay. And this is, I can't see your name. They're not showing us up on
Brown.
Mr. Brown.
It's Russell Brown. Yes, ma'am.
All right. So we have a motion for continuance to April the 10th, 2023. Do I have a motion to approve that request? Second. Motion by Mr. Mull, second by Mr. King. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 3-0. So
Thank you very much.
Mr. Brown will be continuing those to our next meeting, April the 10th.
Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Thank you. Next up on the agenda, findings of fact for BZA 2023-006, development standards variance from petitioner William Niemeyer on behalf of Starbucks for the property at 189 Woodville Road. Do I hear a motion?
Yeah. Madam President, in consideration of the statutory criteria, I move that we adopt the written findings of fact as presented, incorporating the evidence submitted into the record as our final decision and final action for variance petition number BZA 2023-006.
Motion by Mr. King, second by Mr. Mull. All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries 3-0. Okay, next on the agenda, we've already addressed the old business for the continuation of BZA 2022-046 and 047. Moving to old business from the floor. Being none, new business. First up, BZA 2023-009 Development Standards Variance. Petitioner Bill Anderson requesting relief from the former zoning ordinance, section 10-117, administration and enforcement procedures for mobile home parks to reduce the front setbacks from 20 to 10 feet on lot 68 and lot 71. All those wishing to speak will stand to be sworn in. Go ahead, stand. Yeah, just stand for a moment. Before we get the swearing in, are all the notices in order?
Everything is in order and in the file. And I would admit to the record the certified copies of the zone unified development ordinance.
Okay. So those wishing to speak will get sworn in by our secretary.
Do you swear on this perjury? This one be true, best knowledge.
Yes.
Okay, you will go to the podium, make sure the mic is on. Did we check that?
Test. Can you hear me?
Okay,
Very good.
go ahead and tell us why you're here.
Yes, thank you. Good evening. My name is Bill Anderson. I'm with Atwell. We are the development consultants for RHP Properties, the owner and of the community. We're here tonight to discuss the two variances. Just to give you a little flavor on where the project is, as you can see, we're immediately west of US 31. To the west, we're on the north and south side of West Stop 18 Road. Greenwood Estates was developed in 1980 and had about 570 units in it. RHP Properties purchased the community in December of 2011 out of receivership. It was in the bank, it was in very disrepair. RHP purchased it, and RHP's made significant. Little slide real quick. Scroll down.
Did the arrows help you any?
Oh, here we go. There we go. I don't know if I did that or not. Again, RHP purchased the community in December of 2011, and RHP has made significant investments. They've invested in actually over 200 plus new homes and numerous capital improvements out at the property. They've made roadway and drainage improvements. They've renovated the clubhouse with new play equipment, pool upgrades, and put new monumentation throughout the community. So I've done a lot of reinvestment in the community. As part of that acquisition, there was 106 existing blighted home sites in the northwest corner area, that green area, as you can see. And that's what we actually did a redevelopment on. That blighted area, we have an apartment community to our west. We have storage and commercial to our north, and then the existing manufactured housing to the east and south. So that's our location. We started in 2019 talks with the city about redevelopment of that community area. And in 2021, RHP redeveloped the 106 home sites to just 80 new home sites. Through our conversations with the city, they wanted to get some stormwater management controls put in there that weren't in the original plan. We added stormwater detention and a lot of other water quality measures. We added public water. They wanted public water through the community, and of course, improved roadways and dry utilities as part of the expansion. We did keep the basic existing roadway network, however. So that was the redevelopment. As we started to go to building permits, we've been under construction. We went to building permits for the home installations and understood we have to get a variance for a couple of the units. You'll see on the right side, unit 68 and unit 71 where the arrow points. And we are seeking a variance pertaining to required front setback of 20 feet from the street to the home, specifically to those two corner lots. Next slide. Lots 68 and 71 at Greenwood Estates are developed as corner lots, and as such, they require two frontage for these internal streets. So we're subject to two required front setbacks of 20 feet between the street and the home on both sides of the lot. So we are seeking a variance for the reduction of the required 20-foot setback on the east side of setback on lot 71 between the home and East Murray Street. Lot 71, we're requesting a reduction of that required setback of 5 feet. So instead of 20 feet off of Murray, we'd like it reduced to 15 feet. And we're also seeking a variance for the reduction of the required 20-foot setback on the west side of lot 68 between the home and York Street. So lot 68, we're requiring a reduction of the required setback to 10 feet. So go from 20 feet to 10 feet. In support of the variance request, I just want to make a couple of points and then certainly open to some questions from the Board of Appeals. We have similarly dimensioned front setbacks are currently utilized successfully at the existing Greenwood Estates community east of the redevelopment area. The 20 feet side setback or second front setback requirement between the home and the street within the RHM zoning district has been removed from the current City of Greenwood zoning ordinance. So if we were developing this today, we wouldn't be here for our ordinance. We were applied, this site got applied to the older ordinance, so it required two front setbacks on that interior roadway. So that's worth noting. The posted speed in our community is just 15 miles an hour. Manufactured homes are generally slower speeds, different narrower roadways driveways and turning radiuses, which improves safety for our public and reduce sight distance concerns. So that reduced setback is less of a safety issue from our perspective in this community. Next slide, please. Lot 68 and 71 meet the required front setback at 20 feet measured from the proposed home in West Acre Drive. Both the homes will be fronting to that cross street, interior street. So no driveways would be constructed on the variance setback side of lot 68 and 70. So just so we understand that. Strict application to the prior zoning ordinance will result in the loss of affordable home lot and requires to redevelop 3 of those lots. So this variance is pretty critical for us to maintain the layout that you see before us. Ironically, the city of Greenwood completed their final inspection and issued final staff approval last week of our redevelopment project. So the project has been completely developed and signed off with the city on 3/22. During the permitting process, which lasted, again, we started in 19, about 2.5 years. The issue of the setback on that corner lot was not mentioned and discussed, unfortunately, throughout our process. And again, the redevelopment process was very integrated with the city. We lost a significant number of lots in the redevelopment, adding stormwater and public water and a lot of the city issues. So we're hopeful that we can get this variance and maintain the 80 lots of the affordable homes that we had approved from the city and would like to install. Again, and finally, I guess most importantly is the city staff does support this variance request. We've had the discussions, and actually the new ordinance this wouldn't even be a variance. So with that, we're open to any questions you may have in regards to this, and we appreciate your consideration.
Before we go into any questions, we need to go ahead and make sure that we've got all of the answers to the criteria on the record. Do you have your copy of your responses?
I have the attachment A responses.
Okay, I'm not sure what that is, but
Yes,
is that what it is? Okay. I'll lead you and then you go ahead and read into the record your responses.
sure.
The number 1, the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community because
The approval of the aforementioned setback variances will not be injurious to the community as similarly dimensioned front setbacks are currently utilized successfully in the existing Greenwood Estates community to the east of the redevelopment area. Furthermore, the 20-foot side setback requirement between the home and the street within the RHM zoning designation has been removed from the city of Greenwood zoning ordinance upon recent ordinance updates. Lastly, the posted speed within Greenwood Estates community is 15 miles an hour. This lower speed limit is lower than the typical residential speed of 25 miles an hour, thus further enhancing the safety of the public and improving stopping sight distance concerns within the development. Adding to safety, no driveways will be installed on the reduced setback sides, as all driveways will be constructed with the typical 20-foot setback from the interior street frontage West Acre Drive.
number 2, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner because
Surrounding communities adjacent to the property requesting the variance will not be adversely affected as similar setbacks are utilized in older adjacent communities. Once again, similar front setbacks are utilized in the existing Greenwood Estates community adjacent to the redevelopment subject area. Furthermore, lots 68 and 71 meet the required front setback at 20 feet measured from the front of the proposed homes in West Acre Drive. The approval of this variance will have no effect on the functionality of Greenwood Estates manufactured housing community and thus no adverse effects to the surrounding properties. Finally, the setback variances are internal to the community.
Number 3, the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property because.
The strict application of the old zoning ordinance here would result in the loss of an affordable housing manufactured home lot and require the reconstruction of 3 other lots. During the permitting process over the last 3 years, the city of Greenwood, the problem of the required setbacks was not mentioned in the processing of our plans with the city. Furthermore, the redevelopment process of Greenwood Estates, the number of lots has been dramatically reduced in order to meet the drainage requirements of the city. Unexpected loss of another lot due to previously undiscussed setback concerns would greatly limit the viability of the affordable housing project that will be a positive for the community.
And I'll take number 4, the structure is not regulated under Indiana Code 8-21-10-3 for hazard air navigation. Did you have anything else you wanted to mention? Is there anyone else wishing to speak to this petition? Okay, I'll close the hearing. Panel, Mr. Mull, do you have any questions?
No questions.
Mr. King? And I have no questions. I'll entertain a motion for admitting the evidence into the record.
Madam Chairman, I move that we admit all the evidence presented in regard to this matter, including the notices, receipts, maps, photographs, written documents, petitioner's application and attachment, petitioner's detailed statements of reasons, the staff report prepared by the planning department, certified copies of the Unified Development Ordinance and the comprehensive plan, testimony of the petitioner, city planning staff, and any administrators, and all other exhibits presented, be they oral, written, for consideration by this board in regard to this petition, and to include the testimony of those present this evening.
Motion by Mr. Mull, second by Mr. King. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, 0. Motion carries 3-0. I will take a motion on the petition itself.
Madam Chairman, I move that we approve the request with no conditions.
Motion by Mr. King, second by Mr. Mull. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. You are approved to move ahead,
Thank you
working
very
with
much.
the city on whatever needs to be done.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And I'll entertain a motion for the issuing the findings of fact.
Madam Chairman, having considered the statutory criteria, I move that we direct the Corporation Counsel's Office to draft written findings of fact regarding our decision on the variance request presented in variance petition number BZA 2023-009. Said findings to specifically incorporate the staff report and evidence submitted into the record for consideration and adoption by the Board of Zoning Appeals as our final decision, final action regarding this petition at our next meeting.
Motion by Mr. King, second by Mr. Mull. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, seeing none, motion carries 3-0. Next up on the agenda, petition for BZA 2023-010 Development Standards Variance. Petitioner Chris Magnus requesting relief from the Unified Development Ordinance, Section 10-03-14B, Single Family Residential Building Standard Design Standards, exterior materials, F2B to allow the use of metal siding and to allow relief from 10-03-14B trim to allow the use of metal trim. All those wishing to speak, please stand. Before we get you sworn in, are all the notices in order?
All the notices are in order and in the file. And I move to admit the certified copy of the Unified Development Ordinance to the record.
Okay, and if you will be sworn in by our secretary.
Do you swear on oath of perjury? Testimony is true to the best of your knowledge.
Okay, you want to go to the podium? Tell us why you're here.
All right, so I would like to use pre-finished metal trim as opposed to be approved or standardized, I guess, vinyl siding, brick, hardy planks, things like that.
Okay. Do you have your statement of reasons for your petition request?
I do.
Okay, we'll need to go through the different items here. The first, well, before we get started, it shows that in the report that both answers for both petitions or requests for variances are the same, so we'll just read them into the record one time. The approval will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community because
It's only a visual effect.
number two, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner because
There are currently like time structures on adjacent properties utilized pre-finished outside.
number three, the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property because
The proposed home will be built using post and beam construction. Metal siding is utilized for its lightweight, ease of install, cost and trade durability.
and I'll take number four, the structure is not regulated under Indiana Code 8-21-10-3 for hazard air navigation. Now, you've read the responses from the staff and their comments. You want to go ahead and speak to that from the city?
Sure, I can address that. Basically, with the way the variances are set out, there should be a practical difficulty to prove why a variance should be allowed. And with that said, there also is precedent for granting metal as an exterior material, like literally across the street from this, where this proposed house will be built, so.
Do you have any other comments you wish to make on this petition request? Okay, then I'll close a public hearing and open it to the panel for questions. Mr. Mull?
I didn't catch your name at the beginning.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Chris, what kind of metal, is it like aluminum or is it like?
No, it's steel. So
Steel?
it's pre-finished metal siding, right? So steel 26 gauge.
Okay.
Kind of traditional for a pole barn type structure, right? Because it's lightweight.
And I saw the picture, is it gonna be black? Is that what that, is that, am I was,
It-
oh, that was just
it's
an
a-
artist.
It's a dark charcoal kind of color.
I'm good.
Mr.
I don't have anything. I mean, I don't know that I see particular reason that would be practical difficult, but as I said, we approved last year, the year before, a structure with exact same material across the street, so kind of be tough, I think, to say they can't, he can't. When it's, I don't know, 100 yards apart, maybe. So that's all I've got.
Okay, I guess I'm a little confused. You're not building a pole barn. It's building a house.
It's pole barn construction, right? Mostly beam construction. So there's a post set on a foundational pier every 8 feet. And then you'll have horizontal purlins, right, that physically hold up the siding of the exterior structure. If we were to use traditional framing, we need to have a solid foundation all the way around the perimeter for that wall to set on top of, and then use some OSB and then put hardy plank or something like that on top. That's where the lightweight piece of the metal actually comes into play.
I guess I'm trying to figure out how a home being built like a pole barn would meet the criteria for insulation and
I mean, definitely does. So the inside would be spray insulated. So I mean, exterior walls would be just as efficient from an insulation standpoint as any stick frame, right? So the interior portion would still have some stick framing, so you have the whole drywall or whatever your interior finish would be, insulation in the cavity, just like normal traditionally framed home.
wouldn't that need a foundation?
So they're not structural walls, so the structure from a post and beam construction, right, kind of a post, it's called on the corner, right, another, come over 8 feet, you set another post, those are actually what carry the load of the exterior structure. So there'll be a beam that runs across, right? And your trusses, your rafters, trusses in this case, will set on top of that beam, right? So all of your load is transferred to each one of those posts that's 7 feet apart. In a traditional home, right, a traditional stick-built framing every 16 inches, put a 2x4, 2x6 stud.
Right.
That whole entire wall is the structural wall, right, that holds your roof rafters or your trusses or whatever. It's not only every 8 feet. So basically, all we're doing is putting in support in between those 8 feet to hold your drywall on the inside and to hold the metal siding on the outside.
I've done add-on rooms, and I'm trying to figure out the interior support walls. I'm trying to figure out how they're
It's
gonna be
all clear
supported on the
span, so there
base.
is no interior support wall. So all the interior walls are non-structural. Yep. They
I'm just
sit
trying
on
to
top of the
visualize
slab.
this.
Yeah, so they sit on top of the slab, right? And if you can imagine a big rectangle, right? Has a smooth concrete slab on the inside of it. And you could frame walls wherever you want. You can go up to the den because there's no structural support. It's all clear span on your exterior walls.
All right, so I do have a question now. How does this anchor to the ground? I mean,
The posts.
Okay.
So, yeah, so the posts every 8 feet are secured 42 to 48 inches in the ground. They sit on a structurally designed precast, what we call a cookie or a concrete pad, if you will, right? It sets down in the ground at that 48-inch depth. Your post sets on top of that, gets backfilled, so that's your foundational.
all right, I'm just kind of thinking of it as somebody who worked in disaster planning than I would down south this past weekend. I'm wondering what keeps this from being the first thing to get blown.
Yeah, so the post actually have uplift protection put on the bottom, right? So it's typically a 2x or a piece of angle iron, something like that, to get secured to the post to keep those posts from heaving or being able to pull up. The trusses all get tied in with hurricane ties, just like traditional framing.
All right, that's
You have all of your building code, and I did talk through everything with building commissioner, Mr. Kenny, is that right? Yeah. Just to verify, right, that from a construction standpoint, he was happy, and we would see we'd have no issues, so everything's been engineered and stamped by an architect. So we are good to go.
that's all I have. I haven't thought about it after you were asking the question.
Yeah, I think that's all I've got. I'll entertain a motion, admitting the evidence into the record.
Madam Chairman, I move that we admit all the evidence presented in regard to this matter, including the notices, receipts, maps, photographs, written documents, petitioner's application attachments, petitioner's statement, detailed statement of reasons, staff report prepared by the planning department, certified copies of the Unified Development Ordinance, comprehensive plan, testimony of petitioners, city planning staff, and the demonstrators, and all their exhibits presented, be they oral or written, for consideration by this board in regard to this petition, and to include the testimony of those present this evening.
Motion by Mr. Mull, second by Mr. King. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 0. Entertain a motion on the decision.
Madam Chairman, I move we approve this motion with the one condition presented by the staff for the plans staying substantially conform to the existing building elevations depicted in Exhibit C.
And I've got to make a modification. That's for request number 1 to allow the use of the metal siding.
Oh, yeah, sorry, request number 1.
Motion by Mr. Mull,
Second.
second by Mr. King. All those in favor? All those opposed? We don't have a majority either way, so I guess we can't make a decision today.
Is there's not.
Is there something I can clear up, or?
I believe it failed. Yeah, it would have to,
You have to
that
have-
did not pass, but it hasn't been defeated
Right,
It's,
you have to be
it
reheard,
continues,
be
because
continued to next,
You'd have to have 3 votes one way or.
right, that's what I'm saying.
so
So-
So we don't have,
a majority.
3 votes, you have to have minimum 3 votes, either for or against. So at this meeting, we've got a 2-1. So it means we're gonna have to continue your request until our next meeting, and we can rehear it or redecide on it at that time when we have a 4th member here.
Okay.
So that way we can probably get a 3 minimum, either for or against, because that's what we'll need to have.
Is there something I can explain better to you, Mr. King, that you would understand, or why it's?
Just having, I'm
Trying to-
personally, I'm having difficulty why you're not able to use aluminum siding and the brick as the ordinance allows
Because then
for a house.
you would have to have a full exterior
Mhm.
foundation
Right,
to set that off. So
which, I'm not hearing why that's difficult. Is the ground not suitable, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it's a cost piece is a huge
Yeah,
part of
and
it,
cost
right?
can't be used as a reason.
So I mean, that's just, it's not the construction type, I guess, of the building. I mean, the whole part of this house is the barndominium type home, which is built with the post-it construction, so.
I'll say mine is criteria number 1, public safety. I hear what you're saying with the design, but from a safety perspective, I have reservations. But without a majority, we don't really have a decision either way at this point.
It's goes down as a no decision today, and we can rehear that then at our next meeting. And maybe you'll have an opportunity to come up with some other explanations for, things that you might want to submit, or orate when you come here about how this is going to meet the criteria that it has to meet first.
Because we have 1 member absent.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so it's not a denial, but it's not an approval. It's just being deferred to our next meeting.
Okay.
Okay, so that will be on April the 10th. So if that's going to be a problem, we can extend it to a different date, but we only meet on the 2nd and 3rd, 4th Mondays of the month. But right now we'll extend it to April the 10th.
Okay.
And you can come back and we'll rehear it then. Okay?
Okay.
All right, so at this point, you're okay.
Thank you.
Do you need to make a,
Do we need to
Take a
make a
vote on the
motion to
second.
continue it?
well, there's a second, the second petition. Secondary.
Oh.
Well,
Yeah.
go ahead and do the second one too. All right,
or can we just move to continue?
Yeah, continue.
let's move to continue the
Move to
entire.
continue. All right, then I move to continue. Should we
And
just say
Mr.
the whole
Mull
document?
seconds.
Yeah.
A motion by Mr. King, second by Mr. Mull to continue this petition BZA 2023-010 to April the 10th, 2023. Okay. All right, next is new business from the floor. Seeing none, the announcements.
We will have a full slate for the next meeting,
With the 3 actually
3
continuances.
continuances, and I think there's 3 new cases, so. And also, I don't think we're any closer to getting a 5th member. I've heard nothing of the sort, so we might be getting. Oh,
Somebody's
know.
optimistic.
that's good.
I hope so. Okay, anything else from legal?
Not from legal.
He says we're getting a 5th member. He's twisted somebody's arm.
He's optimistic. Okay. Entertain a motion to adjourn? So moved. Or adjourned.